Aaron, there's a little bit of reverb though.
Okay, test now. Can you hear me okay?
That's much better. Yep.
Okay.
I'm not seeing your video, but you're coming through clear as mud.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear whoever just said hello.
Jeanette.
Hi, Jeanette.
Hi, Jeanette.
Hi.
Alrighty, folks. Well, I guess at this stage we should get underway. We kept you waiting long enough. We're 7 minutes in. My heart is so full to see 28 people here, plus a full classroom of people here to learn about Spotted Island, Labrador on a Wednesday morning. How absolutely incredible! So I've done a lot of talking to this stage. I should probably take a moment to introduce myself. So hi, folks. For those who don't know me, my name is Nick Mercer. I'm a settler researcher and I'm an assistant professor here at the University of Prince Edward Island. And I'm cross-appointed between two programs here, the Island Studies program, as well as the Environmental Studies program. So I love islands. I also love Southern Labrador. I've got to do a great deal of research there over the last decade or so. So just before we get too deep into formalities, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge that at least here on the UPEI side of things, we have gathered virtually on the traditional, unceded, modern, ongoing territory of the Mi'kmaq people, known to them as Epigwid. So this is a really remarkable place. It's governed by a series of peace and friendship treaties. These treaties date all the way back to the early 17th century, and they're really remarkable documents if you ever get a chance to actually read them. They dealt with all kinds of things between the indigenous people who were here and then the European colonizers or settlers who were arriving. And those things included, continued access to natural resources, continued forms of self-governance, living in true peace and trade with the colonists who were arriving. So critically, though, these treaties did not cede any land to Europeans. They did not turn over territory, as did treaties elsewhere in the country. So when we say we gather on the traditional unceded territory of Mi'kmaq people, this means that Mi'kmaq on Prince Edward Island never gave land to Europeans. Really, really critical. I'll also throw out as well, I personally believe that, these land acknowledgements without action are kind of meaningless. So I think they're useful. I think they're important to kind of set the stage. But it encourage you all to remember that, in Canada, we are all treaty citizens. We all have obligations under these treaties. And I'd like to push us all beyond just acknowledgement to action. And, one of the things we can do is something like today, helping to amplify and give voice to small Indigenous communities like Spotted Island. So with that said, I'd like to hand things over to my dear co-facilitator, Amy Hudson, who will say a few words of introduction as well.
Thank you, Nick, and Ulagut. Good morning, everyone. Many of you I know, which makes this kind of nerve-wracking to know people. But it'll be fun today. So I'm from Black Tickle on the island of Ponds, so another important island community, and just a short speedboat ride from Spotted Island, or short skidoo ride when the ice is in, which is not too frequently these days. So I come with, I guess, over a decade of professional experience working in areas like Indigenous governance, strategic advisory, nation rebuilding, and negotiations and community-based research. So I've been doing a lot of work over the years with people in Nunatu Hawut and certainly those in Spotted Island. And now I'm owner and director of Husky Consulting, where I continue to do this type of work in a good way with wonderful people. Because the heart of my work, what really matters most to me, is working with Indigenous and other small remote island communities to help them achieve their sustainability goals. In doing that work, we take a strength-based approach, understanding that the strengths of the community, the voices and interests of the community are important to leading sustainability processes. So I'm super excited to be here today with you guys and to hear about Spotted Island and what's so important about Spotted. and at the end of the day, it's those voices and those interests and those goals that help us to achieve sustainability from our places.
Thank you
And
so much,
Nick,
Amy. So I just want to take a minute then to talk about the specific reasons why we're gathering today. And I'm just going to try to haul up a poster here. Is that coming okay for everyone? Is everyone seeing my poster of this event that we organized? All good, Amy?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. So yeah, Amy and I pulled this together, event together rather quickly, and we've called it Island Light. And really what the central goal of this grassroots organization is, it's to shine a positive light on island communities. So Amy and I both believe really deeply in what's called asset-based community development or strength-based community development. And basically what this is starting with what's marvelous, what is beautiful about island communities, and using that as the basis for sustainable development. So if you look around the news, if you look around the literature, oftentimes with rural places, we lead with deficits. We lead with what's wrong about places. I mean, you look at the news about rural Newfoundland and Labrador, and you see, questions of depopulation, questions of fish plant closures, questions of resettlement, questions of lack of economic opportunity. And I think it hurts both of us that we constantly put these remote island places in a bad light, but furthermore, it tells the wrong story. It doesn't tell the marvelous story about what is beautiful and what is already working terrifically well, and how we can use those strengths, be it hunting, fishing, gathering, kinship, small scale economies, how we can use those existing strengths to forge a better future. So Amy and I both really believe deeply in the tenets of what's called asset-based community development. So, a month or two ago, when we started seeing the news going around about the destruction of the fishing stage and wharf on Spotted Islands, our hearts were broken, and we could tell the significant impact this was having on the community. And at the same time, we said, well, maybe there's an opportunity here, not just to talk about what the community has lost, but also to celebrate what is so marvelous about Spotted Island and other communities like it. So we quickly connected with Sean Hallwell, the chair of the fundraising committee on Spotted Island, to rebuild the stage. And the idea for this panel came together really quickly. So my final note about the poster here, some people have teased me because these stages here are very much not from Spotted Island, but that's what happens when you try to pull an event together in quick order. So, this is a free event. We're really excited to have you people here. I mean, I think there's 35 or 40 people on the call right now, all to talk about Spotted Island, Labrador, which is so amazing. It is a free event, but we are accepting donations. So Spotted Island Inc., this fundraising committee that's been set up in the community is really leading the charge on rebuilding efforts on Spotted Island. So we're going to be accepting donations throughout the call at our email listed there, islandlight2025 at gmail.com. And if you'd like to chip in a few dollars, all of the proceeds will go to the community, and it will help them in their own self-determined rebuilding efforts. And again, there's no pressure to contribute financially. You just being here today is such an enormous contribution. So that's a little introduction to our organization. And I think Amy's going to tell us a little bit about the traditional territory of Nunatuvet at this stage before we get started.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. And I just want to clarify that, of course, the donations email is open after the session. The panel is closed as well, so don't feel like you have to navigate EMTs during the call if it's too distracting. So Spotted Island is and you'll learn much more today. But Spotted Island is an important central core Inuit and ancestral community. In fact, I can go on and on with detailed historical information from the 1600s, but I won't. That's a different panel. But it's an island that has a significant and continues to have a significant presence and impact on Southeast Labrador. And prior to this resettlement program in Newfoundland and Labrador of the 1950s and 60s, people were living seasonally. Inuit families were living seasonally, shifting in the summer and between summer and winters to fishing communities like Spotted Island, and then into bays and coves in the winter for harvesting practices. So life was very much about shifting or moving between seasonal homes. And Spotted Island is one of those homes that I've noticed with great pride and hope. After doing this work over the last decade or so, and thinking about the impact of forced relocation in Indigenous community contexts or other remote island community contexts, the goal was to disconnect people, right, from those communities, to move people out and move them into urban settings, right? So that's kind of what happened here. People were moved out and moved to larger urban centers like Cartwright or Happy Valley Goose Bay or Charlottetown, like that. But one of the thrilling, I guess, most amazing, inspiring things I see with places in our territory like Spotted Island is how the resettlement strategy just didn't work. It didn't work. People still go back. People find ways to go back. People are still building homes, repairing homes, telling stories about their families and their traditions. They are bringing children and grandchildren and nieces and nephews and holding community events, come home years and other celebratory events. And I just think that that's such a remarkable reflection of the depth of connection that people have to where they belong. And I'm just happy to be a part of a discussion that's, really open to breaking down these borders and barriers and helping communities and people reclaim their lands and where they come from. And, we all have a right to live freely and safely and healthily on our traditional lands, and to travel and access them. And I think, for Nick and I, that's where we are. That's kind of what we want to do. And I've gone completely off script. So I will just go back to script and say that we're so pleased to be here with our panelists today, who'll share their stories of what makes this place so important and why, why they belong there, what that means to them. And we really hope to be able to continue this type of work with Spotted Island and other island communities in the region and beyond. So thank you. Nakumik.
Thank you so much, Amy. So we do have 5 marvelous panelists from and connected to Spotted Island who are going to do most of the talking. We promise. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to get those panelists to introduce themselves. So we're going to start off with Sean Hallwell, and we do this purposely because Sean is the chair of the fundraising committee, Spotted Island Inc., that has their own Facebook page set up in the community. So Sean's going to talk a little bit himself, the committee, and he's going to show us a wonderful video of Spotted Island before we begin, and then we'll move into the other panelists. So Mr. Hallwell, the floor is yours.
Right on. I'll first say thanks to Nick and Amy for putting this together. It's greatly appreciated. I'm not one for talking a lot when it comes to open panels and stuff like that, unless it's about Spotted. So I'm happy to say, and that whenever I get a chance, I always say I was the last person to be born on Spotted. So Spotted is my home. So I'm like I say, I'm very happy about that, and it will always be my home. And I go back there every summer. back there every year. Last year I was fortunate enough to spend almost 3 months back on Spotted. It's it's as you'll hear, from other people on this panel area, you'll understand why. I think why Spotted is so dear to us. But there is a couple of points I'd like to make. Don't worry, I am a little bit nervous because I got so much stuff going around in my head trying to figure out that how I should put it out there. But Spotted is an awesome place. I mean, Amy touched on it. I mean, I guess you can say we are one of the few resettled communities that are growing. I mean, over the last 5 years, I think since 2020, we've had 7 or 8 new homes built on Spotted, and there are plans of another, I think, 5 or 6 that I know of that are supposed to be happening within the next year or two. So, I mean, that there's going to bring, well, right now there's about 25 homes on Spotted, so we're going to have about 30 homes on Spotted, hopefully within the next 3 or 4 years, which is awesome. It's there's most summers we see 60 to 70 to 80 people on Spotted. And in some years we actually, there are actually years we have, 110, 120, 150 people on Spotted. So you can imagine the fun this is now in some of the homes when you got 8 and 10 and 12 people, trying to bunker down and get stuff to eat and stuff like that. So it's all just a part of it, and I think that, a lot of the a lot of the reason why people go back, because I mean, a lot of our family, because of things like resettlement, I mean, they moved to other towns. Like, I mean, some of my family moved to Carthage, some moved to Goose Bay, some moved to other towns, but in the summertime, we always go back to Spotted. So we always see our family, we always see our friends. I mean, it's young and old. Like, I mean, I think one of the beautiful things about up Spotted on any given day, I mean, you can look out, you was able to see, people over on the stage at the fish or coming and going and stuff like that. Or you can just look down in the land washing, you can see kids of all ages playing with boats or just playing in the sand, or look somewhere else, you see people roaming over the hills, or kids playing ball and stuff like that. I mean, it's just simple things like that, and it's just so, for me, it's just so comforting. But anyway, like I say, I can ramble on. I can probably spend, I don't know, a couple hours anyway. And probably repeat myself about 10 times, but that's it. But I got a little short video here, of about 4.5, almost 5 minutes. But it just, for the ones who's going to be seeing it, like the people from Spotted, I mean, I've watched it a few times, and it's crazy how much our community has changed. Like a lot of the pictures, date from the late 70s to now. So it means over 40 plus years. And I should say there is some music. There's a song associated with it. It is a Spotted Island song. It was a song that was written by late Ed Curl. And it's actually performed by 4 ladies from Spotted. One who's on the panel here, which is Wanda, and my mother, Lillian, and my aunt Sharon, and Wanda's sister, Jeanette, are the 4 singers. And there's a few local musicians, and my cousin done the mixing of the music for me. But anyway, I'm just going to play that there now, and hopefully it'll come through fine. I'm going to try the sharing option and see what happens. Share sound, big screen. I'm hoping everyone can see that.
We can see it, John.
Okay, here goes.
Wow. Well, Sean, thank you so much for sharing. I don't think I was the only one weeping. I saw lots of eyes tearing up. That's really lovely. And I just want to make sure we get to our other panelists and have a chance to say hello. And then we'll dive into our first question. So maybe we can bump over to Wanda and Irene to say hello and introduce your connection to Spotted Island.
Okay, we'll start with mom first.
Oh boy, this is an emotional day for me. I came to Spud Downs. I'm not from Spud Downs, but I am now. I came from Spud Downs after I married my husband, Samuel Lowell, and I came here in 1963, and 62 years later, I'm still here. And Spud Downs, I've spent so much. I spend most of our time in Spud Downs, except after resettlement. And I always say that we resettled, but we didn't settle. We're always ready in the spring to go back to Spud Downs. And I know when the girls were young, we left like at the beginning of May and went back to Spud Downs and never left like till late in the fall. We stayed there as long as we could. So Spud Downs had been a very important place for me, and it still is, because I'm going back there. If I live until the summer, I'll be back there again.
And I'm Wanda Cabot, Howell Cabot, and I'm a offspring of Irene and Sam. It's my mom, and I'm a part of that journey of going back. Since I guess, I was always going back, but I remember the days of going back. Mom would take us out of school in May, and we get on the skidoo and the comedy box and take everything with us, and she'd take us out of school with our math book and our English, and we go to Spotty for Dad to get ready for fishing. So it was an emotional time watching that video.
Yeah.
Just so many memories of it all. So it was a bad time to introduce us after that video, Sean. Yeah, but so I've been going back ever since. The only thing stopped me was when health got in the way. But still, even though I might not have landed my feet on Spotted Islands, my heart was always there.
Wanda and Irene, that's so beautiful, so much. And if I get a new tattoo, on my neck later today, it's going to be "We resettled, but we didn't settle." I think that's absolutely beautiful wisdom. Thank you so much for sharing with us. So I'll just keep moving through my screen here. That would put Kristen Purdy Morris as our next speaker to introduce themselves.
Hello, everybody. My name is Kristen. I did, if I don't have my thoughts organized right in front of me, I'll stutter. So I did write a little script. Most of it I'll save for later. I'll just do my introduction now. So my name is Kristen. I'm a first responder. I have 3 kids and 3 dogs, and I've lived in Cartwright all my life. And my connection to Spotted Island is through my mother. So my mother's mother is was sister to Irene's husband, Sam, and Sean's grandfather, Chris. So we're all family, but that's my connection to the island. And I'm going to save everything else that I have to say for a little later on. So Nick, you can go ahead and introduce who's next.
Perfect. Thank you so much, because I love that notion. We're all family. Maybe I'm the one exception, but I have to say, ever since I started traveling to the coast of Labrador, I felt, like family right away. And I've gained so many aunts and uncles and cousins, and love for my own kids from spending time there. So thank you so much for that. So that would leave Erin Snow, who's the co-chair of Spotted Island Inc., the fundraising committee, as the last panelist to introduce themselves. Sorry, Erin, I'm not getting any audio. Yep.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
There, we've got you now. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, sorry. I'm having some difficulty with my laptop sound at the moment. Okay,
Your
still
iPhone is
okay?
sounding marvelous. Yeah, you're coming through loud and clear.
Okay, I'll try to get my camera on here now.
Oh, there we
Okay.
go. Perfect.
Okay, sorry. I'm still shaky from that video. I mean, I'm so glad Wanda and Irene and Kristen had to go because that was so emotional. So many emotions there, Sean. So good job and kind of bad job. Surprises like that. So my name is Erin Snow. I am the owner of Labrador Consulting Services. I am also the co-chair of the Spotted Island uh, Committee and our newly formed non-for-profit Spotted Island Association. So I'm glad to be here today. My voice is probably going to be a little bit squeaky because, like I said, that was such an emotional video. My father was a fisherman on the south coast of Labrador. My parents split up when I was 2, and my mother shipped me off to to spend summers with my dad for I would say for a decade of summers, if not more. Wanda and Irene live really just one house, one right next to our family's home in Spotted. And Wanda and Irene often looked after me when I was younger. And Wanda was my babysitter, actually. So there's lots of connections and stuff amongst our panel here today. So also, um, throughout my Labrador consulting business, I offer cultural connections, cultural awareness, and consulting services. And I recently published a children's book, What Can You See from A to Z Under the Labrador Sea? And I wanted to make sure the Spotted Island stage was in, I'm not sure if you can see it very well, but I wanted to make sure the Spotted Island stage was in my children's book and a lot of the images. So I can't believe everything that's happened since this. Our connection to the stage and the community is, it's just since I guess what you'd say, time immemorable or, you know, forever. So our connection stays strong. And when you talk about resettlement, although the community was resettled, um, the community actually was, when the fishery came back, when the fishery opened, a commercial fishery came open, it wasn't that we were resettled and weren't allowed to go back. The community members like had resettlement, but then also when the commercial fishery opened, that's when fishermen were able to go back. So it's like, you know what I mean? So there is some other, probably some awareness on that portion as well. So a huge connection, like I said, as Amy alluded to, like the Spotted Islands people and history is a very central part, you know, of the Indigenous Nunavut ancestries. Like there's so much history there. Is you know, it's there's so much that's not, I guess, provided written. There's not a lot of written records because at the time, and as you know, even now on South Coast of Labrador, you don't have a lot of communication, and you certainly didn't when I was growing up there, and even before, right? Like, you know, you have to take some other kind of context as that as well. So there was a, you know, my son visited there during COVID time, and he said it was just like he was cut off communication wise. He was like just cut off from the world because there was just, you didn't have that access to information back in the day. You didn't have internet. You know, there's all kinds of different kind of factors that was going on there, and people, you know, I think for various reasons, people, you know, when somebody said something, like they took, you know, maybe they took it like as if, you know, they had to do stuff, right? So there's a lot of different factors when it comes to resettlement and things that happen on the south coast of Labrador, especially in Spotted, in the history that it has. I have very deep roots, and I've done research on my own genealogy in the area as well. So I think that's about it for me. So I'll let you continue on there.
Thank you so much, Aaron. Well, what marvelous expertise we have on our panel today, and the relationships with Spotted Island and the clear care and passion for the community are absolutely palpable. So we have about 50 minutes left in our proceedings together here today, and I do want to preserve the last 20 minutes for questions from the audience, because I'm sure they're so curious about you folks and your lives and your connection to place. So Amy, if we have to sacrifice a few of the scripted questions we have in order to preserve time at the end for questions from the public, I think that would be excellent. But maybe you could start, Amy, with your first general question, and we'll open it up to all our panelists, and then I'll move on to my questions as well.
Yeah, always happy to unstructure the structured, Nick. So
Yes,
have at it.
yeah.
Whatever makes sense. So yeah, the first question is really getting to the heart of, and Sean, you spoke so well to this earlier, that even though resettlement happened along our coast, along the entire coast of Labrador, Spotted Island continues to grow in every summer in numbers and infrastructure growth. And we're hoping that you guys can share a little bit about why you think that is, and what it takes to be able to grow a community that has otherwise been relocated.
Well, I think I touched on it a little bit. I think it's a lot to do with family and family structure. I mean, like when Spotted was resettled, or our families were, some of our families were broken up, and when we go back in the summertime, we're with families, and probably it's a good example. Kristen, we could expand on it once, but her family home up to Spotted. I mean, in the summertime, there's Christ, probably 12 or 14 people in the one cabin. So you can imagine, what that's like, having all these siblings under the one roof, ranging from, a toddler up to 60, 70 years old. So it's a good mixture. I think that's what a lot of it is. And I think when you're talking about resettlement too, and in Cartwright, I think you can make a context, I guess, there with in some ways to the when they were resettled. I mean, a lot of our kids in Spotted. I mean, they lived in Cartwright and in the residential schools before they were resettled. The resettlement wasn't I guess, well taken in by a lot of our people. But I think the resettlement in Cartwright, for the ones that came to Cartwright, helped the kids that were in, the residential school, because they were back with their family again, which was, which needed to happen, because, I mean, well, everyone knows now the residential schools and everything like that. So how auras of it, and stuff like that. So, and when we go back to Spotted, I said this before, um, it's just a load lifted off, because that's their happy place. I guess that's another way of saying it. That's my happy place, and that's it. Someone else can add on to it. So,
Man, why do people go back, do you think?
Yeah, but there was a time when Spotted Islands had a school. And I guess the reason that year of resettlement was because there was no teacher. Because the school, I think for years, longer than we really realized. I remember my brother-in-law and another friend, they were in Spotted Islands years ago, talked about they went to school in Spotted Islands. And I always remember even the name of their teacher was Harry Shea, and they always talked about him. So there was a school for a long time in Spotted Islands, although I guess younger people don't realize that. And then there was, I know, the year before resettlement, we had a teacher there. And a few years before that, there was still teachers coming back there. But I think that was the whole point of resettlement in Spotted Downs, was because they could not get a teacher that year.
Why do they go back?
What was that?
Why do everyone go back still?
Why do everyone go back? Because we love it there. It's, I felt, to me, it's all, we all live in a different home, but we're all in one family. Everybody on Spotted Downs is one family. And no matter how many more comes back, we're still a family and we're getting big. And that's what's important to me.
Yes, and I'll add to that. I think I'm not sure why, but the roots are really deep in Spotted. Like the roots are deep. It doesn't matter if people haven't come back for a little while. When they put their feet on Spotted Islands, it's like, I'm home. Even though they might not have grew up there every summer, but we have. We grew up there every summer, and we're wearing shirts with Spotted Islands on there, of course, and a little verse from the Saltwater Joys, and this might say it all, maybe. This island that we cling to has been handed down with pride by folks that fought to live here, taking hardships all in stride. So I'll compliment her beauty and hold on to my goodbyes, and I'll stay and take my chances with those saltwater joys. So I think that's pretty deep.
Thank you so much, Wanda. Yeah, what a beautiful recitation. Kristen or Aaron, did you have anything you'd like to add about why people keep coming back?
Yep, I can you hear me okay?
Mhm.
Okay, perfect. So it's so nice to hear and see everyone here today. And when just to talk about Wanda's song there, I know my dad, like I talk to my dad all the time. Like our roots are deep, his roots are deep, and like Irene alluded to as well. Like he said, like we had a school, we had a hospital, like in Spotted Downs, we had everything that was there, and that was actually due to different reasons, like for during the Cold War and whatever time was going on there, like there was things, structures and infrastructure put in place there. That's another story about that, but anyway, so we did have a school there, people were there, they were like able to stay there and go to school. And then when Joey Smallwood at the time, resettlement came across all over Newfoundland and Labrador as well. So we had, there was things that were forced upon us. But anyway, so I'll try to save it positive. So Wanda talked about a song. My dad always talks about a song. My dad is Wayne Elson. He was one of the ones who originally built the Spotted Island stage, and very familiar to all the community members here today, I'm sure. So his song he talks about is Bud Savage. What if you told all those people to go straight to hell? That's what, like, I don't know if you know about that song. I don't have it rhymed off like Wanda did, but it was like the Bud Savage song. Anyone familiar with that one? The Resettlement. Yeah, so he always talks about that song and brings tears to his eyes when he plays it. So, and when people say, "Why do you go back?" It's because that is our home, and that is it's part of who we are. That is who we are, people of Spotted Island.
Really beautiful. Thank you so much. Amy, I might combine, I think we were ambitious maybe in the amount of questions we planned, so it might be helpful to combine a couple together and hear all our panelists' deep reflections instead of trying to power through the
I sent you a
agenda.
note.
Oh, did you? Oh, sorry, I hadn't been paying attention to my phone, perhaps. Oh, yeah, there
Great
you are.
minds, Nick.
Yes, wow. Double up some questions. Wow, you just said that. Okay, so I'll take the next two then, Amy, and then maybe you can come in with the last two. So to our panelists again as well, I kind of loved our way I mean, we don't need to be so structured. Please feel free to jump in wherever you think necessary. But we're wondering, A, can you tell us what you love the most about Spotted Island? And then B, what the loss of this stage in Wharf means to you? Those are critical questions. What is the absolute, if you could share one thing with Spotted Island with someone else, what would it be? And then B, what does the loss of the stage in the community mean to you?
And maybe Kristen, I'm not sure if she had an opportunity.
Oh, Kristen, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, so maybe you can start us off on this one. Well,
Okay, so like I said, I actually did write a script, and I kind of already combined all the questions in my reflection, and it's less factual and more storytelling. So I'm just going to go ahead and read through everything that I wrote, and I think it will really paint the picture of why probably everyone loves the island so much, and answer most of the questions. So my husband and I try to get to Spotted for a week or two every summer, but we're very, very lucky in that my parents usually spend the entire month of August on the island, and they take our kids with them. So my kids have spent a lot of time on the island every summer since they were all born, and they are now 17, 12, and 4. So I can't speak to, I can't speak to the history of the island like some other older people can, because my memories don't start until probably the early 90s when I was a little girl. But I did visit the island for many summers growing up, and I have a lot of core memories that I cherish. My husband's family is actually from Batto on the other side of Black Tickle, so he spent all of his summers there growing up, but as a child. But he married me, so now he's an honorary Spotted Islander too, just like Anne Irene. So, and I wanted to touch on what Sean said earlier as well about the cabin. Yes, my mother and two of her sisters over 10 years ago now, they built a really big family cabin on the island. So in the summer, that's where all the cousins end up. Like my kids have cousins in Goose Bay and other places, and we don't see them very often, but we always see them in the summer at Spotted. There's kids in the bunk beds, kids sleeping in the lofts, cousins everywhere, and it's beautiful, really. So Spotted Island is a special place to me. It's a magical place, and it's comforting to know that so many other people feel the same way about it. It's a rocky little island in the middle of nowhere on the edge of the sea. There's no trees, just land, rocks, a beach, some rolling hills, and a beautiful little harbor where all the houses are. And beyond it is just water, just nothing but open ocean until you hit Ireland on the other side of the Atlantic. So we live in a world that's busy, right? People are busy, our lives are busy, our jobs are busy, our kids are busy, and it feels like the older you get, the faster time flies by. And it's so easy to get caught up in the busyness of day-to-day life and sometimes the scary realities of the world that we live in. Climate change, politics, personal struggles, all that stuff. But all of that stuff falls away when you're at Spotted. When you're there, it feels like it's its own little world, tucked away from the real one, where you can pretend everything else just doesn't exist. I don't know how many of you have seen those Newfoundland tourism commercials, the ones with the children running through the wildflowers under clotheslines, of beautiful quilts blowing in the wind, and there's salt box houses right on the water with a beautiful view of the open ocean, and it looks like the people who live there don't have a care in the world. That is Spotted Island. That lifestyle still exists there when we go there. And there's a picture that was taken in the summer of 2013 by Candace Dyson, who's also from Spotted. And it's taken right outside our Morris family cabin. And it's a picture of my son, Kobe, who's now 17, and his cousin, Jonah. They were both 6 at the time. And in the picture, they're both back on walking away from the cabin towards the cove. And they're both towing those little wooden boats that they made themselves down to the cove to float them around. And it's probably my favorite picture in the whole world because it just perfectly embodies the spirit of Spotted Island and why we all love it so much. And as a side note, Candace actually won a photography contest with that photo. It's so beautiful. I'm a homebody myself. I'm an introvert who can happily not leave the house for days at a time. I don't like to travel. I think it's exhausting and overwhelming to travel far off places. And you know how people go on a big trip somewhere far away, and then at the end, they say that they need a vacation from their vacation because it was so busy that they didn't get to relax. Going to Spotted in the summer is the opposite of that. It's like traveling back in time to when life was slower and simpler And that's why we all love it so much. And that's why we keep going back there. And that's why the island population grows so much in the summer. And that's why new cabins are being built. As for probably my favorite thing about the island, I think it's probably the road. So there is a small gravel road that runs from the water of the harbor all the way up to the old American base at the top of the highest hill on the island. And it's just over 3.5 kilometers long one way. It's hilly and winding, and because there's no trees, you can see everything when you're walking on this road. So it starts at sea level and you go up a hill past the graveyard, past where the old school used to be. And when you're at the top of that hill, you can look down at the heart of Spotted Island, all the houses, all the people. You keep going then, and there's another hill, and then you're on a plateau where there's lots of rocks, and you can see Domino and the lighthouse across the run. You keep going, and the road winds around a turn, and Slate Pond comes into view, which is a big circular pond that isn't too deep, that kids love to swim in. And when I was younger, the legend was that there was a hole in the middle, and if you ended up in the hole, you'd get sucked right out into the middle of the harbor. And then as you leave Slate Pond, the road turns again, and there's this little spot where a small hill was obviously blasted out of the rock to make way for the road. So it's kind of like this entrance to the other side. And when you enter the other side, you see Three Island Pond. And if you're lucky, you can hear the birds swimming down there. You keep going past Three Island Pond, and there's rocky hills all around. And on the other side of the hills is the open ocean. The road winds higher and higher through the hills until you get to the last one. And from a distance, the top of that one almost looks like a castle. It's the highest point of the island. And once you get to the tippy top, you can look out at nothing but lonely open ocean. And you feel like when you're up there, not only are you on top of the world, but you feel like you might be the only person in the world at that moment. And I love that feeling. I love the seclusion. I love the aloneness. I love the feeling that you're seeing something that's so precious. It's almost like a secret when you're there by yourself. And I'm a runner, and although it's a really hard and hilly run, that road is my favorite place in the world to run. It's the kind of thing, it's the kind of scenery, it's the kind of experience that people pay lots of money to go and see and do, and it feels like a privilege every time that I get to do it. And my favorite memory, in the summer of 2022, we had a come home year celebration at Spotted. So there were even more people on the island than probably in a normal summer, all at the same time. And I went for a run to the top of the site on one of those evenings, and the weather was just perfection. Like, it had been hot and clear all day, and it was now late evening and the sun was starting to set. And on my way in, I was passed by a convoy of teenagers on four-wheelers heading to Slate Pond to swim before it got dark. And then when I got to the bottom of the last hill, right before getting to the top of the site, there was a family of new baby foxes right in the middle of the road. They scurried into the ditch when they saw me coming, and I almost ended up in the ditch too, because I always have my husky dogs with me when I run, and instead of foxes, they saw snacks. So we almost all ended up in the ditch. But then when we were on our way back out, I met up with my cousin Lisa and her youngest daughter. They were picking bake apples on the side of the hill opposite Three Island Pond, and the sun was just shining directly on them. It was so beautiful. They were bent over, filling their containers with berries. When I got back to Slate Pond, I had to stop because although they were pretty far away, the air was just completely still, and I could hear the teenagers swimming in Slate Pond. They were laughing and shouting and carrying on as like the last rays of the sun started to go behind the hill. And that entire run was like something out of a fairy tale. And it's the kind of core memory that I hope plays through my mind when I'm about to die and I'm remembering like the precious memories of my life. So I think that probably, or for me, that paints a picture of, I know how important the island is to me, and I know that everyone else feels the same way. As far as the stage, I think the stage was the heartbeat of the island. It was iconic, especially after it was painted all those beautiful colors, probably 10 years or so ago. It was where so much activity happened. Most people have a view of the stage from their homes. It was where you landed when you arrived on the island and where you loaded your boat back up when it was time to leave. It was where the kids took their fishing rods to catch scullies and rock cod. It's where the splitting table was, as you saw in Olive Shawn's pictures, where the fish were split. It was where my son learned how to split a fish. It was where you'd turn your binoculars when someone came back from berry picking to see how many buckets of berries they picked that day. It's where people went to socialize. It's where our elders went to yarn. It was the hub of the community. And I remember in the summer of 1999, when the first Come Home year was held, I was standing in the kitchen in front of the big window of my grandfather's house when my uncle's longliner pulled up to the stage. And on the longliner was a load of people arriving to the island to celebrate Come Home year. And one of the people on the longliner was my nan. And that was so special to me because she was in a wheelchair at the time and we didn't think she was going to get there. And I'm pretty sure that was actually the last time that she was ever on the island. And I just remember her watching her from the window getting hoisted onto the stage in her wheelchair, coming home like one last time. And it's just such a precious memory. And I've only ever known Spotted with the stage. It was there my entire life, welcoming you every time you drove into the harbor. I don't know the harbor without the stage. And I know my heart is going to break this summer when we land in the harbor and it's not there. And I know everyone else feels the same way. You know, if I won the lottery tomorrow, I would have a new one built immediately, exactly like the old one, but I don't even play the lottery. So that's a dream, I guess. I don't know what our answer is, and I don't know exactly what anyone can do to help. But I do know that those of us who have the memories of the stage will keep them with us forever. And that even though the stage is now gone, Spotted is still just as special of a place to us all. And we will continue going there and making new memories just the same. And that is my entire script. So I answered all the questions. To end off, I want to thank Nick and Amy for giving us the opportunity to speak about something so near and dear to us, and for everyone else who joined to listen to our memories. Thank you so much.
It's the absolute minimum we can do. Thank you so much for giving us a glimpse of your life on this island and what it means to you. It's touching and moving. So I see all our other panelists are quite moved, but maybe I'll open it up to you folks quickly as well. Before Amy asks her next question, what do you love about this place and what does the loss of the stage mean to you? Sean, Wanda, Irene, Aaron, would you like to chime in?
Ma'am.
No, you go with first.
Well, what I love going back there. I love coming in the harbor. And of course, now to come into the harbor, our stage is gone. So the stage to me was like you talk about a nook shook and as like a marker man, and our stage was just like that marker that we all hovered around, and we all did so much there. And to think about the people that's gone, that put their foot up over that stage, to put their hand on the grips to get up over that stage, and now all the memories are gone. So that's what the stage meant to us, and Spotted is just my heart and soul. I remember someone saying, like, "Why don't you go down south for a vacation?" I said, "I am going down south. I'm going to Spotted Island, and that's it. That's the only place I want to be."
Yeah, well, I'll just say that, I don't know how it was hard. The day that somebody told me the stage was gone, it was like somebody died in Swadals. And I remember the first thought I had was the weather that bad. I wonder, is my cabin still there? Am I going back anymore? That was just a feeling I had on that day. Yeah. It's hard.
Thank you so much, Wanda. Yeah, a really strong articulation of what the stage meant to you, and it's akin to losing a family member or a loved one.
I was just going to say on that too. I was asked many a times in different trainings or like different events, if you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go? And I said, Spotted Islands. So like that's just, it's just, if some people said Australia or wherever. Like if I could go anywhere, I would go to Spotted Island. And the last of the stage, well, for us, if I could say anything about Spotted, yeah, it's peaceful views. It's a safe place. It's just peaceful, safe, beautiful place with the best views in the world. And if I could go anywhere, that's where I would go. Now, after the CAD moratorium, my father did not. It wasn't easy for him to go back. We didn't always go back to Spotted. It was very, very hard for him to go back. But the last of the stage, I was shocked as well as everybody else, and very sad and concerned as well. As Irene just noted, our family had said as well. I wonder if our roof is still on our house. Like, we looked at some pictures, looked like the roof might be off. Like, what could that mean? What's going to happen? So, it was very, very devastating. And the stage is gone. And I remember going there and I said to my dad, I remember going there before the community stage. I remember going there when it was like one of those stick stages, and you used to have to get up on the stick stage that was next to the big stage. And he said, "How old are you?" I said, "I can remember that." I said, "That was I said it was really scary. So when that stage was built in the 80s, or when it was finished in the 80s, whatever the case was there, it was like I was so happy that I could, as Wanda said, like climb up on the stage, because it was much more safer than those wooden sticks we used to have to try to get ashore on. So it's sad, but we are definitely resilient and strong, and we will rebuild. So
Thank you so much, Aaron. And maybe Sean, a last word before Amy asks our less formal question.
Well, ask the questions because I just the memories, and I mean, listening to Anne Arena, I love listening to Anne Arena because she's so knowledgeable. So, what was the question there again?
What do you love the most, and what does the loss of the stage mean to you?
I just love the family nature about it. It's my home. Like I already alluded to in the beginning, it's my home, and it'll always be my home. So, it's where I feel the most content. So, and the loss of the stage, I mean, it's the first thing you see. It's the last thing you see when you're coming and when you're going. It's already been said that it's where I grew up. It's where I see my grandfather. That's one of the best memories I have from my grandfather is on that stage. And then just the knowledge sharing and everything that we passed on to our own children. I mean, I was just thinking there, Kristen was talking about memories, and it was like, how can I was trying to pinpoint, one memory of Spotted, and it's, but there's a lot, but I think, uh, it, I think one of my favorite memories is not just it just happened over time. I mean, we've been bringing back, our son ever since he's been able to crawl, up on Spotted. So I mean, he spent several of his birthdays on Spotted. But I think one of the nicest memories I have is every summer we go up there. Most summers we used to go up there. I mean, we'd leave in boat from Cartridge, and my son, right from when they could basically walk. I mean, he's been handling boats. So this one summer we went up. We left Cartridge, and I said, "Okay, my son, I'm just going to leave you alone." And he took the boat right from Cartwright to Spotted. He was probably, I think he was around 14 years old then. And as soon as we got out in the run in Cartwright, it was foggy. So he had to use the GPS right from Cartwright to Spotted. I left him alone. I never said anything to him. And he brought us right to Spotted. And when we broke out of the fog, the first place we was able to see was Blackgate on Spotted, which is about 2 minutes, and then you're in the harbor. And it was like, I think that's one of my nicest memories. And of course, then the first stop we had when we got in the harbor was the stage. So,
Thank you so much, Sean. Just marvelous expertise in the community. And Amy, maybe you could ask us one last sweeping question,
Yeah,
and I'll
I'm
do a little
sorry,
bit
I
of
just
wrap
got
up.
lost in Sean's story because I remember that story about Lyndon, and I remember hearing you tell me about that, actually, that story about Lyndon driving the boat, and that's the I love it. It's a stark contrast to me breaking down outside of Indian Tickle last summer, and I was ready to jump overboard and call it quits. But anyway, no, Sean, really important, and as such, that approach to knowledge sharing, really, and just passing, like Wanda said, that song, right? Passing on the traditions and passing on the knowledge, and that's what's keeping our communities alive. So thank you for that. And before I go into the final sort of kind of thought, I just want to acknowledge everyone here, because you got Wanda and Irene, who are amazing storytellers and have so much knowledge, and the depth of the connection is felt every time you speak, and your wisdom is just so empowering. And I really just want to say thank you for that. And Kristen, I stayed at Uncle Lawrence's and Aunt Jessie's in 1999 for the come home year. We had a dance. We all went to the dance. But I just want you to know, like, you probably know it, but I'm pretty sure you're a novelist. Like, your storytelling approach is inspiring, and I think you took everybody on a trip to Spotted Island today, with your story. And we really appreciate that. That's we should talk. You're kind of amazing. And Aaron, we've not met at all, but I really enjoy the stories you've told today, and it really strengthens. I feel like it really further strengthens how, and illustrates how the diversity, how people that continue to live there, or directly connected there, or indirectly connected there, have these stories of strength and resilience. And that's such an important approach to moving forward. And I guess that really leads into asking what it is we can do. How can people help? How can we rally around the idea of sustaining our community, of sustaining Spotted Island? And of course, this is not a question that necessarily has to be answered ad nauseum or exhausted today, but it's kind of an open call, an invitation to call upon us and others to be a part of this journey with you, in any way we can. But certainly, if you have any ideas or thoughts around how people can be of help, please share.
I think this here is a great start, Amy. I mean, we are taking steps to hopefully get something put back there. I mean, but our immediate focus right now is trying to get everything cleaned up, because I mean there's a big cleanup up there. We've been trying to work with the governments, federal, provincial, just no help yet. But I mean, being who we are, I mean, we've already had fundraising efforts. We've raised over almost $5,000 now to help with the cleanup when we can get up there to clean up. But I mean, like I say, after that, I mean, the big focus then is putting something back there. And exactly what that's going to look like, I mean, we've got ideas, but I mean, of course, that's all going to be dependent on the amount of help we can get. And of course, the funding dollars is going to be the big thing. So I'm glad, we had this here conversation, because I know now, like, if I do have questions, I can reach out. I'm pretty confident I can reach out to you or Nick, and get some input or some help on questions that may come up. So I appreciate that.
Well, I think we'll move forward no matter what, because at the end of the day, when when and if, and we hope and pray that our government will help us somehow clean up what's going on there. But we'll again, our generations have fought to stay on the Holland. We've had hardships before. Our people have had hardships before. We're not going anywhere. And I guess when we go there and the government don't help us, I guess we'll all get together and try to clean up the mess the best way we can, because this is our island and this is where we're going to be.
That's right. No matter what.
Thank you. And Irene, Kristen, Aaron, do you have anything you'd like to add about how we can help as our last formal question?
Yeah, I think just like Sean alluded to, we have some priorities right now in place. Thanks so much for having this opportunity to speak and listen. And it's almost like a little bit of healing to us as well, because just to hear and come together and hear that beautiful song and those voices, like I can't carry a note. And, we don't, some of the people aren't on this panel today. They might be here, they might listen to it after, but there's a lot of remarkable people and generations and families and ties and traditions that's been passed on and will continue to be passed on, because that's just who we are as Spotted Islanders. And it just gives me cold shivers to move forward with this, because this is not going to stop us, break us, or anything else, because like Wanda said, this is our island, and we'll figure it out whatever way happens. Now, we have had some movement and some support. We just don't know exactly what that'll look like, and we had to put some more attention to that. And I just had a new email came in. I'll have to share with the committee that we do have some other supports through some healthy waters initiatives. So there's things coming. We'll definitely reach out to you, Nick and Sean. Said, keep the thank you so much for the opportunity, and as we move forward, I'm sure we'll be in touch at some point. Thank you, and thank you so much.
I'd just like to add something there to what Wanda said. We will, we are resilient. I mean, we will get something back there. And that brought to mind, I was running through some numbers here this morning. I mean, the old stage was, roughly, well, it was 100 foot long by 20 foot wide, with a walkway that was 100 foot long by 8 foot wide, with another big crib and a deck and a stage in that was roughly 20 foot by 20 foot. And people got to realize that all this work, everything that was in there, I mean, there were ballot beds there. Everything that was there was put in by hand. It was put in by the people that Spotted. I ran some numbers there this morning, and it was like 900. I figured it was approximately 900 tons of rock. Anywhere from 50 to 70 to 100 pounds that were all moved by hands of the people that Spotted. So, just thinking in context of that, I mean, the amount of sweat and tears and labor that went into that place. I mean, that's I guess another reason why it was so, so near and dear to our hearts and Spotted. So.
Yes,
Thank
well,
you so much.
when the last time that the cribs were filled with rocks, because some came out, I worked on that project.
Yeah.
I was bookkeeper, but the boys wanted me to stay home, but I didn't. I went down and dug the rocks from the sand, the same as the men. And I enjoyed it.
Beautiful. And Kristen, any final words from yourself on how this community can help?
No, I just want to reiterate everything that everybody else has said. My 4-year-old's back. That whatever happens, nothing will change, and that we will all still keep going back, because it's home to all of us.
Thank you so much, Kristen. And folks, I'm so sorry that I have to be the ones to shepherd us along. The reason I'm so concerned about time is because there's a big class from UPEI joining us here today. Their camera's not on, but they'll have a class coming in after them. So if I don't wrap things up, then I'll be stealing the class from the next instructor. I know time's a social construct. Amy has reminded me of that for the last 10 years. But in this case, the instructor behind me will very much care about that social construct. So just in the last 10 minutes here, we wanted to open it up to the public. Did anybody have a question, a reflection, a thought, something they would like to share with our panelists? And you can either use the hand hold function and I can pick you out, or you can just speak right up and share away. I know that Samantha Rumbold said she had something she'd really like to share in the chat. So Samantha, you're more than welcome to chime in when you're ready.
Yeah, hi, can you all hear me?
We can.
Yeah, okay. I envy Kristen and her speaking abilities because I'm so not a speaker. But yeah, I'm also an honorary Spotted Islander. I started going there around 20 years ago. I'm Sean's wife, by the way, for those who don't know me. I sent a picture there in the chat of my mom. She finally got up there after many years of trying to get up there. She got up there last summer. Of course, I wanted her homemade bread. So she mixed me some bread there on the table that's facing the harbor, facing the stage. And she loved it. She's 75. Well, she'll be 76 this summer. And she says she's going up there as long as she can. And that's like one of our concerns too. Like a lot of our community members are getting up in age. And like, how are they going to get out on the rocks and stuff when their mobility is starting to suffer, and also talking about memories. Like I said, I can't even comprehend those that are from there, how they feel. But me, like, see, I'm getting emotional just talking about it, like watching Sean's video. And I got my own memories up there that I formed with my son, and I can speak for everyone, and as you've all alluded to, Spotted is family. I'm not from there. Some people I didn't even know when I got to Spotted, but I've never felt such a feeling of home until I went to Spotted.
That's beautiful, Samantha. And you are a storyteller, and that was felt. So thank you.
Oh my, yeah, I absolutely agree. Okay, I see another hand coming up. We definitely have time for a couple more. Marie Lopez Cruz joining us from Grenfell campus, I believe.
Hi, Maria.
Hi. Hi, how are you, Professor Amy? Nice to see you. I just wanted to say, like, well, my name is Maria. I'm from Cuba, and I'm working under the supervision of Professor Kelly Vaden and William Newell, also with the advice of Professor Amy. So my research is also with indigenous communities. And I just want to say something very shortly, right? I'm very happy that I'm doing that because, and like hearing these stories today, I feel very identified with these stories because I'm from small town, Varadero, which is a fisherman town. And sometimes, like not sometimes, every day, I'm telling my friends here about this story, about how I feel this connection with my place. Because I'm just explaining, like, my place, for example, my house was the house of my grandmother, the house where I was raised for 32 years old, same place without moving out. And then my mom's house, my grandma's house, my grandma's parents' house. So it's like the land of your ancestors, right? So this is very special for me. And sometimes I'm just reading about, for my research, about indigenous communities and everything. And I start like, oh my God. And then I miss my beach, the sand, my soil, right? So this connection, and it's like friends, as it is a really small town. it's like friends and the community is like a family. So you know everyone. Sometime I was just going out, and then grandma was saying like, why did you take so much time? Oh, because I went to this house and then another house and then another house and just talking with everyone, because we're like family, we help each other, right? So I feel really identified with this story, and I'm very happy that I'm working on this as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I don't want to put you on the spot, Maria, but I just heard last night that you may be traveling to Cartwright with us and on to Island of Ponds by Skidoo next month.
Yeah.
Adventure.
I'm very excited about that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Maria.
Thank
Okay,
you so
folks,
much.
I think we have time maybe for one more quick comment, but then we'll have to do a wrap. I see some notes here that folks are trying to get back to work. And does anyone else have anything final they'd like to share or ask of the group? Okay,
I'm
so
just
Amy.
curious.
Oh,
Sorry, I'm just curious about that. What's the snowmobile trip to Island of Ponds? What is that about? That sounds interesting.
I still shift, so we're just packing up. We got about 3 Comedics of stuff to go, so we're going for a couple of weeks this time, and then I'll come back, I guess, to Goose Bay for a week, and then we're going up for another week. And so when we go up for that other week, I'm taking my friend and colleague Kelly Bodden, who's there, got her camera on, and Maria. I can't wait. Kelly's done the trip before. She's met loads of people in Cartwright as well. So it's a research trip. It's a life and research trip, Aaron.
no need to separate the two, right? Yeah. Phenomenal. Okay, folks, so if it's okay, I'll say a few last words to close us out. If you wouldn't mind, please just join me in giving a round of applause to our marvelous panelists. I mean, I learned so much today, and I'm so inspired. And I don't know why people strive for big homes and in fancy cars. My takeaway is I want to move to Spotted Island or the Island of Ponds, or literally any other place in Nunavut or on the coast of Labrador. I think I could live out my days quite happily. So I'm just going to haul up our poster here one last time, just to remind you folks of our email address. Here we are. So again, Island Light, this is a grassroots organization. It's an idea that we love, the idea of strength. We love the idea of beauty. We think that should be the starting place for building sustainable communities, not deficits, not gaps, not limitations. But we're also here to respond to you folks. We don't want to lead the charge here. We want to help. So if Island Light needs to be disbanded after this, Amy and I are happy to disband. If Island Light can do another event in the future, we're happy to do that. If Island Light just needs to go and pick up some debris on the shoreline, we're also happy to do that. So we'll continue taking our direction from you folks. Again, we have this marvelous wisdom. It's recorded. We're going to share it. Although we are taking donations today, that the email address is listed there, islandlight2025@gmail.com. That'll all be handed directly over to the organizing committee, either to support the cleanup effort, to support rebuilding efforts, or to do whatever else they indicate as a priority. And maybe I'll hand the very last word over to my co-facilitator, Amy Hudson, and then we'll wrap up and get you folks out of here.
Yes, no, thank you. Thanks so much for sharing your stories. And I'm just happy to be a part of it and to hear your stories, and something pretty profound when after listening to all of you, and I'm sure everyone on the line today really felt that. And that's what's powerful, and that's the type of work that Nick and I like to do. We want to ensure that community voices guide the future, that community voices determine what our communities look like. Being from Black Tickle, I know I guess a little something about the fears of relocation and some trials, but I also know that there's many more riches on our lands and living in our places than there are gaps and deficits. And you guys are amazing. And Nick wrote this word for me to say, and I will say it. I just don't know what it works for me. Brilliant. I think that's the first time I've used that in the conversation. It's brilliant. But no, thank you guys so much. I love that Aaron reflected on the healing sort of nature of conversation. And that's what storytelling is about, right? We share our stories. The strength is in where we come from and how we grew up and how we want to move forward. It's not in our titles or our work experience. It's in who we are as humans. So I really thank you for that. And I'll see some of you tonight or tomorrow before I heads off to bed on Black Tickle, I suppose. And yeah, Nakumik.
Ready, folks, in honor of a lifetime. Thank you so much. We'll see you all again soon, I hope. Goodbye for now.
Thank you.